Kirn Review, print speaking to the blind, celebrating 40 years of audio newspaper production. Welcome to this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, recorded at the Bishopbriggs Media Centre by our amazing volunteers. You can get in touch with us via Facebook, Twitter or Instagram using @QuenReview. That is @CuendReview. You can also contact us directly by emailing information@quenreview.com. That is INFORMATION @CuendReview.com, or by calling 0141 772 3976. That's 0141 772 3976.
This edition of the Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald, as published on the 26th of March 2025, is read to you by volunteers Alan, Corey, Ian, Jahan, Nikki and Philip. We all hope you enjoy the podcast.
Fined for Gas Leak in School by Kevin McRoberts. East Dunbartonshire Council has been fined £14,331 after a carbon monoxide leak at a primary school in Bishopbriggs left staff and pupils feeling sick. Balmouldy Primary School was evacuated on February 19, 2020 because of a suspected gas leak. It turned out that potentially fatal levels of carbon monoxide were present in the building. At least one pupil fainted, while others complained of headaches and feeling ill prior to the evacuation. In all, it was reported that 35 children and 4 staff members complained of headaches, nausea and sickness. Last week at Glasgow Sheriff Court, East Dunbartonshire Council was fined after pleading guilty to breaching health and safety conditions between December 2017 and February 2020. On the day of the evacuation, emergency services raced to the school after a gas alarm was activated. Parents were asked to pick up their children at the nearby Bishopbriggs Leisuredrome. An investigation was carried out, which found one of the boilers to be leaking carbon monoxide in the school's plant room, which was blamed on a lack of routine maintenance. It was later revealed that the council couldn't find a gas safety certificate for the Bishopbriggs school, and it could not locate the paperwork for an inspection that took place in May 2019. This resulted in the council reporting itself to the Health and Safety Executive. After the incident at Balmouldy Primary, the council reviewed its policy on carbon monoxide monitoring in schools, and extensive repairs were carried out at various schools. Following last week's sentencing, Anne Davey, Chief Executive of East Dunbartonshire Council, said, "We note the conclusion of proceedings at Glasgow Sheriff Court and wish to reassure parents, employees and members of the public that all council boilers are safe, inspected and maintained in accordance with the relevant legislation. A new school building is planned for Balmouldy Primary, with a funding commitment for its construction included in the council's capital budget, which was approved earlier this month." That article was written by Kevin McRoberts and read by Jahan.
30 years of Stephen's Barbershop. Report by Kevin McRoberts. Thousands of haircuts, laughs and great banter. A popular Kirkintilloch barbershop will be celebrating 30 years in business next month, and it all started when Stephen McCaffrey was made redundant. He trained as a barber and set up shop at the back of his mum Moira's hairdressers, taking on more barbers as the business grew, and being joined by his wife Elizabeth when she decided to make a career change. 15 years ago, Stephen's Barbershop moved to its present bigger premises in West High Street, becoming very much established as part of the community and continuing to be a firm favourite with customers. Elizabeth said, "Some of our customers have been coming to us since the very beginning. We have several customers that are well into their 90s and one that will be 102 this year. Stephen has given babies their first haircut, and now these babies are bringing their babies in for their first haircuts. We've shared happy times and sad and difficult times with our customers, from new babies, weddings and work promotions to divorce, illness and the loss of loved ones. It's given us a very strong bond with our customers. It has worked both ways though. While Stephen and Elizabeth have shared their customers' joys and sorrows, their customers have been there for them too. When Elizabeth was ill a few years ago, and when Stephen recently had broken ribs, they were inundated with gifts and cards from customers. On both occasions, the back shop was piled high with flowers and plants, chocolate and cakes, with a stream of customers calling in to ask after them. Some even kept Stephen company at Casualty. We've been absolutely astounded by the kindness shown to us by our customers, said Elizabeth. We get at least 2 boxes of cakes handed in by our lovely customers every week, and often our favourite Empire biscuits. Our customers are so loyal, and we always try to repay that loyalty. We give free haircuts for special birthdays and anniversaries, and we don't charge grooms or father of the bride/groom for their wedding haircuts. We've privately helped a number of our customers out when life's been a bit tough for them, and we've done umpteen free of charge home visits when customers have been sick. We've been invited to so many birthday parties and weddings, and, sadly, we've attended so many funerals. We've even been mentioned during the eulogy at some funerals. How amazing is that? Many customers wait on after their haircut for a cup of tea or coffee. Some just want a bit of company and banter, while other elderly customers pass the time waiting for their bus. Everyone is welcome to stay as long as they like, said Elizabeth. If we're really busy, some regulars will make us a quick cuppa before they leave. We have a great laugh and carry on in the shop. The banter is brilliant. There can often be a fair bit of talk around Stephen's hobby of skydiving. He's done over 3,000. It's been such a source of interest that a number of customers have been inspired to do tandem skydives. It's not uncommon for Steve and his team to get up to pranks too. Over the years, they've put on fake parking tickets in customers' cars and given them an electric shock with a joke lighter. They've done crazy challenges, such as eating hot chilies, and each year, as kids get their summer haircut before going back to school, they give out mega sour sweets, which always gets a laugh. One of these days we might write a book with all the funny stories from the shop, said Elizabeth. Over the years, they've seen a whole range of hairstyles come and go. Fades, V-cuts, mullets, etc. But the traditional short back and sides has always been, and remains, the most popular haircut. And they're good at remembering who gets what, including the gents whose wives have told them to make sure they get their eyebrows trimmed. Customers come from all walks of life and backgrounds. They've had police officers, surgeons, doctors, anaesthetists, tradesmen, undertakers, farmers, gardeners, opticians, football managers, footballers, entertainers, priests, and even other barbers coming through the door. Kids, and some big kids, get a treat of a lollipop after their haircut, something that was introduced when Elizabeth started, and they reckon they must have given out 50,000 lollipops over the years. Customers can also look forward to chocolates at Christmas and cream eggs at Easter. They even have dog biscuits for any four-legged friends. Another wee touch is the tiny envelopes they give to their mum and dads to keep a lock of hair from their baby's first haircut. Not surprisingly, one of the toughest times in the last 30 years was during the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown. That was very hard on us, admitted Elizabeth. Not just financially, but we genuinely missed seeing our customers. Elizabeth kept in touch with everyone, either through Facebook, spending hours replying to all the messages, or on the phone, calling some of their more isolated customers every other week for a wee chat. Elizabeth recalled, the day that we opened after lockdown was unbelievable. There was a huge queue right along the street, past the library and way down the hill. We were supposed to open at 9 a.m, but we had to open just after 7 a.m as the queue was so long. It has probably taken about 2 years to get back to normal after COVID. Many customers bought clippers and continued to cut their hair at home, but we have lots of new customers as more people are working from home now and don't travel into the city centre. Elizabeth added, although I'm forever telling Stephen that I'm a huge asset to the shop, I'm immensely proud of how hard Stephen has worked to make such a success of our business. The last 30 years have been a pleasure, and we appreciate every customer that comes through our door, and we hope that shows. We really do have the best job in the world, and definitely the best customers. And that report was written by Kevin McRoberts and read by me, Ian McKenna. This Week in History. March 27, 1989. Bank Holiday Monday was the warmest for 37 years, with the Midlands hotter than the Costa Brava or the Canary Islands. On this day last year, the cargo ship that lost power and crashed into a bridge in Baltimore underwent routine engine maintenance in the port beforehand, the US Coast Guard said, as divers recovered the bodies of 2 of 6 workers who plunged into the water. March 28, 1964. The pirate station Radio Caroline began transmitting from a ship in the North Sea. March 29, 1981. The first London Marathon was won by Norwegian Inge Simonsen and American Dick Beardsley, crossing the tape hand in hand. On this day last year, the death of Oscar-winning actor Louis Gossett Jr. at the age of 87 was not expected at all, according to his former personal assistant. March 30, 1964. The seaside resort of Clacton was the scene of pitched battles by gangs of mods and rockers. March 31, 1939. Britain and France pledged to support Poland against any aggression from Hitler's Germany. On this day last year, the King made his most significant public appearance since his cancer diagnosis, attending an Easter Sunday service in Windsor. And that was This Week in History, Wednesday the 26th of March.
Time to remember and reflect on Mother's Day. A report by Kevin McRoberts. Bishopbriggs Crematorium is inviting people to visit on Mother's Day and take time to remember and reflect on beloved relatives they have lost. Between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. this Sunday, March 30, visitors can collect a rose which they can either place on a loved one's memorial or take home with them. Visitors will also be able to have quiet moments of reflection and remembrance in the crematorium's chapel. No pre-booking is required. Manager Donnie Connor said, "We also provide cards which people can write personal messages on and then deposit in our Letters to Loved Ones memorial postbox. We know from feedback we've had since the memorial postbox was installed that the bereaved can take great comfort from posting messages to loved ones, and it helps them maintain a feeling of connection with them. Anyone is welcome to visit the crematorium in order to remember their loved ones during the Mother's Day period. It does not matter whether or not there is a memorial to their mother or mother figure in the crematorium grounds, or where their funeral took place. Neither does it matter if someone is recently bereaved or suffered a loss some time ago, and it makes no difference where they live. If they are near to the crematorium around Mother's Day, anyone and everyone is welcome to visit for a peaceful period of reflection and remembrance." Donnie added, "Mother's Day is one of those annual occasions when a loss can be felt more, and we want to ensure people know that they are very welcome to take comfort in paying tribute to their loved ones at our crematorium. It can equally be a particularly difficult time for mothers who are bereaved of a child, and they are also extremely welcome to visit us." Bishopbriggs Crematorium is part of Westerlee Group, one of the UK's largest independent owners and operators of crematoria and cemeteries, with 41 sites in England, Scotland and Wales, all set within beautifully landscaped gardens of remembrance which provide peaceful places for people to visit and reflect. For more information about Mother's Day, other events and the services available at Bishopbriggs Crematorium, visit www.bishopbriggscrematorium.co.uk. That report was written by Kevin McRoberts and read by me, Nikki.
Pavement parking exemptions. This article is unattributed. East Bartonshire Council has set a list of locations it has exempted from a national ban on parking on pavements. The Transport Scotland Act 2019 set the ban but permitted local authorities to exempt areas that met criteria such as width and ensuring that emergency vehicles would not be obstructed. In Milngavie, exemptions have been made for Catter Gardens, Endrick Gardens, Ardloo Gardens, Fingling Gardens and Dumgoyne Avenue, along with Lammermuir Gardens, Kinglas Road and Maxwell Avenue in Bearsden. In Bishopbriggs, pavement parking will be permitted in Myrtle Square, Springfield Square and Springfield Crescent, along with Glenburn Crescent in Milton of Campsie and David Donnelly Place in Kirkintilloch. The council is preparing to enforce the ban at all other locations in Eastern Bartonshire, meaning motorists who park on the pavement can be punished with a £100 fine. The author of that article is uncredited and it was read by me, Ian.
Funding for apprenticeships. Local MSP Rona Mackay has praised funding for apprentices in Eastern Bartonshire. New figures show that 661 apprentices were in training in the area at the end of last year. The MSP for Strathkelvin and Bearsden said the figures, the most recent on record, show the difference SNP improvements have made to modern apprentices. There were a total of 39,589 modern apprenticeships across Scotland at the end of 2024. And Ms Mackay pointed out that the SNP's recently passed Scottish budget commits £100 million for modern and foundation apprenticeships in 25 to 26, expanding opportunities for people from Eastern Bartonshire. She said, "I welcome the news that there are 661 apprentices training under the Modern Apprenticeship Scheme in Eastern Bartonshire. Apprenticeships provide outstanding opportunities for our young people to acquire key skills and are a route into high-quality careers. Under the SNP, we have record numbers of young people securing places in modern apprenticeship schemes, and these recent figures show a rise in participants from communities across the country. The SNP recognises the importance of apprenticeships, which is why we implemented £100 million for modern apprenticeships in the recent Scottish budget. Scottish Apprenticeship Week 2025 took place earlier this month from March 3 to 7, with the theme Scotland's Talent, Scotland's Strengths, celebrating the value and impact of apprenticeships across the country.
Flats planned for Old Church. This article is unattributed. A disused church in Twecker could be converted into housing if Eastern Bartonshire Council agrees to the proposals. The planning application seeks permission to convert Twecker Parish Church, which closed in 2022, into 15 flats of up to 3 bedrooms each. The development would see the church building and the manse adapted with the addition of 2 extensions, along with landscaping work carried out at the site. Supporting documentation provided by the applicant states that although used as a place of worship for over a century, following its closure, the Church of Scotland put it up for sale as a prominent site in Twecker with excellent potential for development. Last year, The council approved a change of use for the church to allow its use as a storage and distribution centre for business, although this development never actually took place. The author of that article is unattributed, and it was read by me, Ian.
Changes to Grey Bin Collections by Kevin McRoberts. Householders in East Dunbartonshire are being reminded that their general waste grey bin collections will change from next week, as the council moves to a 3-weekly cycle. There has been considerable criticism of the decision to switch away from fortnightly collections, which the council said is being done for both environmental and financial reasons. It wants to encourage more recycling while reducing what is sent to landfill and reducing operating costs. Speaking earlier this month, Councillor Paul Ferretti, convener of the Place, Neighbourhood and Corporate Assets Committee, highlighted the budget pressures faced by the council and stated that an increasing number of local authorities in Scotland had already moved to 3-weekly or even 4-weekly collections for general waste. He also encouraged residents to make greater use of their recycling bins by disposing of their waste correctly. While praising a large proportion of the population of East Dunbartonshire for being highly engaged when it came to recycling, Councillor Ferretti pointed out, a recent waste compositional analysis revealed that over 64% of the items being put into grey bins across East Dunbartonshire could be recycled. Remembering to recycle correctly will help us to reduce general waste, reduce the council's carbon emissions, and achieve both recycling and landfill reduction targets. As well as moving to a 3-weekly cycle for general waste collections, there will be some changes to bin routes, so some residents could find their collection day will change. Households can now check their new general waste collection day on the bins and recycling pages of the council's website at www.eastdunbarton.gov.uk/a-z-of-services/bins-waste-and-recycling. A number of properties will also exceed a 21-day period between their last fortnightly waste collection and their first 3-weekly waste collection. To support these households with the transition, a one-off contingency collection will be carried out by the waste team. The properties affected will receive a letter detailing the arrangements for their one-off collection of their grey bin. Details will also be posted on the bins and recycling web pages. That article was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Residents urged to recycle. This article is unattributed. With general waste collections being reduced from next week, East Dunbartonshire residents have been encouraged to make the most of the recycling options available to them. The council is also reminding the public the types of plastics that could be deposited in brown bins have been expanded in recent years. As well as plastic bottles, such as shampoo, detergent and drink bottles, the council accepts additional plastics from its curbside recycling collections, including carrier bags, bread bags and vegetable bags, plastic trays from microwave meals, fruit punnets or biscuits, plastic tubs such as margarine or ice cream tubs, plastic pots such as those for yoghurt, puddings, noodles and soup, clean tinfoil. Plastic recycling in brown bins and paper and cardboard in blue bins will continue to be collected every 2 weeks. Green bins for garden waste will also be emptied every 2 weeks from March to November, although households require a permit for this service. There is an annual charge of £50, and permits can be applied for online at www.eastdunbarton.gov.uk/garden-waste-collection. Alternatively, residents can call customer services on 0300 123 4510 or visit one of the community hubs. A comprehensive list of what can go in each bin can be found in the bins and recycling page of Eastern Bartonshire Council's website. The author of that article is unattributed. It was read by Ian. Keeping roads safe. Police officers across Eastern Bartonshire took part in a road safety day of action last Wednesday, March 19th. Speed checks were carried out in areas where drivers have been known to exceed the limit, and advice was given out to motorists. During the day, a number of offences were detected, including 2 people driving with no MOT for their vehicle and another driving without insurance. 2 conditional offers were also issued to drivers who were speeding. Another motorist was pulled over by officers for travelling at 45 miles per hour on a road with a 30 miles per hour speed limit. Reporting the incident on social media, Police Scotland stated, "Not only did they risk their own life, but put other road users at risk. The driver now faces a fine and points on their licence." The author of that article is unattributed, and it was read by Ian.
FM pledges Play Parks investment by Kevin McRoberts. First Minister John Swinney used a visit to Kirkintilloch to announce £25 million of funding to local authorities to invest in the renewal of play parks. All councils will receive a share of the funding to improve the standard of existing play parks, helping to ensure children have access to safe environments to play and socialise in. The funding is supported by the Play Vision Statement and Action Plan for 2025 to 2030, which was published on Monday. Visiting Woodhead Park in Kirkintilloch as part of the East and Bartonshire Travelling Cabinet event on Monday, the First Minister said, "Playing is key to a child's healthy development, and by enabling councils to invest in outdoor play parks, we will ensure families can access a safe, high-quality place to play within their communities. This is all part of my driving mission to eradicate child poverty. Other steps we are taking include investing £3 million to develop mitigations for the UK Government's 2-child benefits cap, £37 million to deliver the expansion of the free school meals programme, and putting more money in families' pockets through the Scottish Child Payment." COSLA spokesperson for Children and Young People, Councillor Tony Buchanan, added, "COSLA welcomes the launch of the Play Vision Statement and Action Plan. Play is very important, not just for the enjoyment it brings, but also for the part it plays in developing children and young people's social skills, interests and curiosity. It also assists in developing relationships between parents, carers and other children and young people." Marguerite Hunter-Blair, CEO of Play Scotland and chair of the External Play Strategy Refresh Group, also welcomed the commitment of the Scottish Government to play opportunities and experiences for all children and young people. She said, "It is fantastic that children's rights and voices are at the heart of this new vision for play, alongside an enthusiastic cross-sectoral collaboration." Later in the day, Mr Swinney and his colleagues gathered at Kirkintilloch Town Hall for the 54th Travelling Cabinet meeting, and then to hear from the local community at a public discussion session. That article was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Cadder Church celebrations. The first in a series of events to mark the bicentenary of the present building of Cadder Parish Church in Bishopbriggs take place next Friday, April the 4th. Although the current building came into use in 1825, the site on Cadder Road near the canal has actually been a place of worship for almost 900 years. The church was designed by David Hamilton, 1768 to 1843, one of the creators of early 19th century Glasgow, in neo-Gothic style. It was completed in 1829 by the erection of the tower through the generosity of the Principal Heritor Stirling of Cawdor. Reverend John McGregor, the current minister at Cawdor, said, "Those who worship at Cawdor each Sunday are rightly proud of their church building. Great love and care goes into its upkeep. But there is also another aspect to the building, and that is its spiritual dimension. The site has been soaked in worship and prayer for the best part of 900 years, and it is still the cradle that holds our worship together. Next Friday's event will be a double celebration, with a choral performance by the Glasgow Philharmonic Male Voice Choir, which is marking its centenary with a mini-series of concerts around the west of Scotland. The choir, which was formed from the Partick Male Voice Choir in 1825, will be performing some popular favourites at the concert, which begins at 7:30 p.m. Admission is free, with any donations at the door going to the Prince and Princess of Wales Hospice in Glasgow." And the author of that article is unattributed, and it was read by Ian. Lib Dem MP calls for Chancellor to scrap health tax. The author of this article is unattributed. Mid Dumbartonshire's MP Susan Murray voted to support a Liberal Democrat amendment that would exempt local health and care providers from the UK government's planned rise in employers' national insurance. But Labour MPs voted down the amendment, meaning that local care homes, pharmacies, GPs and dentists face a national insurance tax hike, despite the health service already being in crisis, and many of these providers already on the brink of bankruptcy. Susan has campaigned for more and better health and care services for the area, including for a new health and care centre for Mulgai and Bearsden, which would ease pressure on hospitals by allowing patients to be seen closer to home. Alongside her Liberal Democratic colleagues in the House of Commons, Susan has called on the Chancellor to U-turn at the Spring Statement today, Wednesday, March 26, so patients don't have to pay the price of fewer health and care services. She said, "I was proud to vote with my Liberal Democrat colleagues to protect local health services in Mid Dumbartonshire from this health tax. Years of neglect, underfunding and poor planning by the Tories and the SNP have undermined the NHS, resulting in longer wait times and more patients worrying about the level of care they can rely on. This health tax will make things worse. The Chancellor must U-turn on this at the Spring Statement." And the author of that article was unattributed, and it was read by Ian.
Family announcements. Deaths. Collins, Christina. Christina Christie Collins, 84 years. Peacefully passed at Glasgow Royal Infirmary on March 19th, 2025. Much loved wife of Joe, loving mum to Elizabeth and Andy, Stuart and Maureen, Kenneth and Lorraine. Devoted gran to Gillian, Mary, Anna, Christine, Ewan and Adam. Funeral will take place on Monday, March 31st at 11 a.m. in Campsie Parish Church, Lennoxtown. Then on to Bishopbriggs Crematorium at 12 noon. Chrissy will live on in our hearts forever. Montgomery, Leslie, Nee Kerr. Peacefully but suddenly at home on March 8th, 2025. Beloved wife of the late Hugh, devoted mother of Nicola and Lee, mother-in-law of Paul, sister of Lillian, and proud gran of Amy. Greatly missed by family and friends. Reception into chapel on Thursday, March 27th, 2025, at Holy Family and St Ninian RC Church, Kirkintilloch, for 6:30 p.m. Funeral Mass on Friday, March 28th, commencing at 10 a.m, thereafter to Colsyth Cemetery for 11:30 a.m. Sheriffs. Joseph Cameron. At home surrounded by family on Saturday, March 8th, 2025. Joe, beloved husband of Mary, much loved father of Karen and Gillian, cherished father-in-law of Peter and Ronnie, proud grandfather to Reese, loving uncle and friend. He will be very much missed. Fortified by rites of Holy Church, RIP, reception into St Mackin's RC Church, Lennoxtown on Wednesday, April 2nd at 6 p.m. Funeral Mass on Thursday, April 3rd at 10 a.m, thereafter to High Park Cemetery. In Memoriam. Costello, Jane. In loving memory of our dear mother, Jane Ferret, died March 27th, 2005. Those we love don't go away, they walk beside us every day. Thomas, Isabel, and family.
Swinging and jiving to La Dolce Vita. Edinburgh-based La Dolce Vita Swing Collective, renowned for their fun, laid-back approach to the swing jazz sound, are heading to Bishopbriggs next month. The band will provide a night of pure nostalgia on Saturday, April 26th at the Fort Theatre, as they perform songs made famous by some of the best performers from the Golden Rat Pack era, as well as turning their hand to more contemporary music, performing swing jazz cover versions of popular pop songs. Singer Tony Delicata and the band are all very excited at the prospect of bringing their cabaret-style show back to Bishopbriggs. Tony said, "We always receive a very warm welcome from audiences, both young and old, who love getting up close and personal with the band, singing and dancing to the Vegas Golden Greats." Being of Italian descent, Tony has a soft spot for Dean Martin and loves to sneak in a bit of That's Amore, An Evening in Roma, into the set. He added, "We are delighted to be appearing at the Fort Theatre again this April, where we are always met with a very warm response. No matter where we play, our audiences are always up for a party and are just fabulously boisterous, getting involved with us singing and dancing along. So much so, that we always try to leave space somewhere in the room for the spontaneous dancers." La Dolce Vita Swing Collective, Tudor Morris, bass guitar, Gordon Murch, piano, Nicola Kendall, drums, Kenny Thompson, saxophone, and Tony Delicata, vocals, will be at the Fort Theatre, Bishopbriggs on Saturday, April 26 at 7:30 p.m. For tickets, go to www.dolcevitaswing.com. That's www.dolcevitaswing.com. The author of that article was unattributed. Wednesday the 26th of March. The Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald letters page. Let's talk. Please send your letters via email to kirkyherald@jnscotland.co.uk. That's KIRKYHERALD @JNScotland.co.uk, and write letters in the subject field. Please keep letters to a maximum of 300 words. Letters cannot be published without a name and postal address. Also include a daytime phone number if possible. We reserve the right to edit any letter. Snouts out the trough. Sir, as the list of SNP incompetents, aka MSPs, leaving the Scottish Parliament as the next election grows, how utterly galling to the taxpayers that they will walk away with tens of thousands of pounds, each headlined as a resettlement grant. This does not include the generous pension payments, also funded by the taxpayer. Heading the list, of course, is Michael Matheson, who was barred from the Parliament for 27 days for, at best, misleading it over the use of his iPad while on holiday. He looks forward to new challenges outside of frontline politics. I sincerely hope he does not find himself appointed to any external government body or quango, where yet again he will be paid from the public purse. When will the Scottish public finally realise that they voted for the most snouts in the trough in 1997, and that this land of promised milk and honey as a result of devolution has improved the lives of Scots by the square root of not a lot? Yours, etc., Richard Allison, by email. Support for our carers. Sir, Carers Scotland recently launched State of Caring in Scotland 2024, Health and Social Care Support for Unpaid Carers, a report that found the impact of caring responsibilities can be devastating for the health of unpaid carers. This research found that over a third of unpaid carers had poor mental health and more than a quarter poor physical health. Over half of the carers surveyed said they often or always feel overwhelmed by their caring role, and 2/3 said they need more help with their health. Scotland's 620,700 unpaid carers provided an estimate at £15.9 billion of care each year. Despite this, too often they face deteriorating physical and mental health, loneliness and isolation, with too many driven to despair and unable to access the supports they need to maintain a healthy life. Scotland's unpaid carers deserve better. Carers Scotland has urged national and local government and the NHS to do much more to support carers' health, and are campaigning for dedicated support for their well-being, including delivering a right to a break from caring. We also want to help unpaid carers to access support for their well-being. We have a range of online information about protecting carers' own health, and online health and wellbeing sessions at www.carers.uk/help-advice/your-and-wellbeing. Yours, etc., Fiona Colley, Head of Public Affairs, Carers Scotland. Rebuild Defence. Sir, since the Second World War ended, NATO has been the cornerstone of our defence policy. The time has come to confront an uncomfortable reality. We cannot now have an absolute confidence that in the event of a crisis, NATO membership would confer upon us the mutual defence umbrella we have thus far assumed. As a founding member of the Alliance, it is incumbent upon us and our own interest to work with our allies to try to rebuild such confidence. NATO remains our single best hope of defending the realm in times of war. However, in parallel, we ought now to urgently rebuild our own national defence capabilities, which have shamefully been degraded by successive governments over the past half-century. We ought also to forge a more active, robust military alliance with Commonwealth allies who have come to our aid previously, such as Canada, Australia and New Zealand, as well as select European countries. We share a largely common worldview in key matters, and such alliances can provide useful collaboration and support alongside NATO membership. Yours, etc., Christopher Rann, by email. Scotland will pay. Sir, consequences will follow the £5 billion a year welfare savings announced by the Labour UK Work and Pensions Secretary, Liz Kendall MP. Consequences not just for those currently claiming benefits, but for the wider economy. Because reducing public sector spending in England has consequences for Scotland's block grant, so not only will some claimants have less to exist on, there could be an impact economically on some crucial public services in Scotland as a result. However, one aspect of the changes I agree with is the Work and Pensions Secretary adopting the policy of Social Security Scotland and doing away with the continual reassessments for those with long-term conditions. Labour's raid on benefits today clearly highlights why full welfare powers need to be devolved to Scotland, just like they are in Northern Ireland. Yours, etc., Katrina C. Clark, by email. And that was this week's letters page, Wednesday 26th of March, read by Ian.
Quality Training at Twecker Site, a report by Kevin McRoberts. A leading Scottish civil engineering firm has spoken of the strong collaborative relationship it has formed with Tigers Group, the training organisation for young people. Currently based at the Twecker Outdoor Pursuits Centre, a GBSS Civil Engineering Limited contract for Morgan Sindall's construction is 17-year-old Amrit Singh. Amrit from Bishopbriggs is a Tigers Group Morgan Sindall construction setting out apprentice, relishing the opportunity to fulfil his dream of working in the construction industry. Having started in January of this year, Amrit is receiving one-to-one mentoring and support from Stephen Haldane, a project setting out engineer at GBSS. Amongst other introductory jobs on the site, Stephen has been instructing Amrit how to use the setting out station. Amrit said, "I'm really enjoying every aspect of my apprenticeship so far. I know it's only been a few months, but I'm already convinced that a career in construction is most definitely for me. It's a stable industry in which I want to do well. I'm really benefiting from the fantastic support that GBSS has provided. It's great to be buddied up with Stephen, who is very insightful and helpful as to the day-to-day jobs on the site. My eventual aim is to go into site management, and completing this apprenticeship will most definitely help me get there." With 3 other apprentices across the business, GBSS has been engaging with Tigers Group for the past 12 months. Tigers has created modern apprenticeship opportunities in construction and civil engineering operations at SCQF Level 5 through the bespoke pre-apprenticeship programme. It also supports the foundation apprenticeship model, bridging the gap between education and employment by delivering civil engineering and craft frameworks. This will help a further 35 learners, all with aspirations to work within the construction sector. David Owens, Managing Director of GBSS, said, "Apprenticeships have always been at the very heart of our business, as we have made a commitment over the years to bring through the next generation. We find Tigers Group extremely professional and easy to deal with, providing us with an effective framework in which our senior personnel can meaningfully contribute to the training and personal development of an apprentice such as Amrit, based at any of our current contracts. It's a win-win for everyone concerned. As such, we wholeheartedly recommend engaging with Tigers Group to any other construction or civils companies out there looking to bring apprentices into their workforce." Craig McCarran, construction assessor at Tigers Group, added, "We're delighted to hear that Amrit is flourishing in his training at Twecker Outdoor Pursuits Centre. We believe that young people learn best, grow and thrive in whatever career they choose when they're fully supported." That report was written by Kevin McRoberts.
Gold for Christen High's Wind Band at Scottish Festival Final. Christen High School's Wind Band has won a gold award at the Scottish Concert Band Festival Final, an impressive achievement in their first time competing. Head teacher Greg Orrock praised the pupils' hard work and dedication. "We are incredibly proud of our young musicians," he said. "Their commitment, talent and ambition were recognised nationally, a fantastic achievement. This success results from hours of practice, supported by our dedicated performing arts staff and instrumental instructors, who play a key role in our music programme. The band, made up of woodwind, brass and percussion players from S2 to S6, performed alongside groups from across Scotland. They also had the chance to hear other talented bands in different categories." Fiona Lyon, Principal Teacher of Performing Arts, expressed her pride in the pupils, adding, This was the first time Christon High School Wind Band had taken part in the festival, so reaching the final and winning gold was an incredible achievement. They were fantastic ambassadors for our school, and we're excited to compete again next year. The band is supported by the Council's Instrumental Music Service and will continue working towards future performances. Also at the same event, the DL High School Concert Band receives a Silver Plus award. The Scottish Concert Band Festival final took place earlier this month at Perth Concert Hall. The author of that article is unattributed. It was read by me, Ian. Call to act now as mass meter switch-off looms. Report by Kevin McRoberts. Eastern Bartonshire households with ageing energy meters are being urged to act now to avoid being left in the cold. The Signal Controlling Radio Teleswitch Service, RTS, meters will be switched off on June the 30th as the broadcasting equipment becomes obsolete. Advice Direct Scotland, which runs the National Energy Advice Service energyadvice.scot, is warning those affected to check their meters and contact their supplier as soon as possible. According to the Scottish Government, as of the beginning of this year, there were more than 146,000 households and businesses in Scotland still using RTS meters. This included 1,326 in the Mid and Bartonshire constituency area, and a further 1,362 in Kirkintilloch and Cumbernauld. Andrew Bartlett, Chief Executive of Advice Direct Scotland, said, "We are getting more and more inquiries as the June RTS switchover deadline approaches. If you have an RTS meter, it may stop working properly once the service is turned off. This could lead to your heating and hot water being on or off at the wrong times, or your supplier incorrectly billing you for electricity usage. You may also have fewer tariff options available. To avoid this, you should replace your RTS meter immediately. Energy providers have been reaching out to customers with RTS meters to offer replacements, but you can also get in touch with your supplier directly. If you know someone with an RTS meter, especially if they are vulnerable, encourage them to get it replaced soon. The most important thing to remember is that free help and advice is available. Anyone who is confused should visit www.energyadvice.scot. That's www.energyadvice.scot, or call 0808 196 8660 for assistance. The charity said people can check if they have an RTS meter by looking for a transmitter or teleswitch box next to their electricity meter. It will be labelled teleswitch or radio telemeter. People affected by the deactivation should already have been contacted by their energy supplier to arrange a replacement with a modern smart meter. Anyone who has not yet received a letter or email should contact their supplier now. Those in need of support can reach energyadvice.scot by calling 0808 196 8660. And the author of that article was Kevin McRoberts.
Good day to you, it's Philip here, reading the church news from the district news of the Kirkintilloch Herald. And it's good to spend today with you as I read the news items. And also, just to let you know, I'm a wee bit older. It was my birthday yesterday. Yay! And if it's your birthday this week, God bless you. Now, first of all, we go to Milton-a-Campsie. Church news: worshippers placed candles round praying hands at our Christian Unity service, which focused on the 1700th anniversary of the Nicene Creed. All three services were followed by a soup lunch, which raised £260 for Christian Aid. Marmalada is this year's Go Mad theme. Stories of Jesus will be brought to us by a refugee bear, that is, from darkest Peru. I wonder who that is. Beginning on Sunday, July the 27th, it will be run for almost 2 weeks, culminating in a charity concert on Thursday, August the 5th. There will be events for everyone, youngsters and adults. Preparations have begun. Ecumenical Bible studies are being held in Campsie Church, Lennoxtown, on Mondays at 2 p.m. Looking towards our union with Campsie Church, a steering group has been formed and we are aiming at a service of union at the end of November. Our minister Julie is now interim moderator of St David's Memorial Park Church in Kirkintilloch. Meantime, Cafe Connect is on Tuesdays 9:30am till 12 noon. Time to pray on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. in the Eric Liddell room in the church, followed at 7:30 p.m. by the fellowship, who will hear about the GRI Museum from Maureen Gardner. And if you don't know what it is, go along and find out, because I don't know what it is. But anyway, it's on there. And on Friday at 6:15 p.m, BB, Anchor and Junior sections meet. Monday at 9:45 a.m. is a baby and toddler group. At 2 p.m, Hobbies Club. And at 7:30 p.m. is the Badminton Club. Now to Bishopbriggs and Cadder Parish Church, beside the canal. Check out their website, cadderchurch.org. We look forward to welcome you. On Sunday, our service will be at 10:30am. Services will be conducted by John McGregor, and music, as usual, is led by Jose Javier and our choir. Our church services are videoed and recorded and are available from the church website. Tea and coffee served after each service. And also the food bank, as they always advertise this, if you wish to donate to the local food bank, you can bring along your donation of food to the church or the coffee shop. And Cadder Coffee Shop is open on Tuesday to Thursday, 10 till 2 p.m. Friday, 10 till 12 noon. All are welcome to come and enjoy good food and fellowship. Guild final meeting of the session is our Daffodil Tea on Thursday, April the 3rd at 7 p.m. in the South Halls. Kirsty Duncan, a professional singer, is coming to entertain. I wonder what they mean by daffodil tea. Is it tea that tastes like daffodils? I don't know. We'll go along and find out. And Caring for Creation open meetings recycling Thursday, March the 27th at 7 p.m. in South Hall, East Dumbarton Council. Recycling team will be coming along to let us know of any developments in the recycling and waste disposal processes within the council. Chat and Play is on Saturday, April the 5th, 10 a.m. in the South Hall. Early fellowship on Zoom and in person at the South Hall. Tuesday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. The Cadder Singers, we are now working towards our Easter concert, which will be on Wednesday, April the 9th in Cadder South Hall, Kirkintilloch Road. Lent reflections weekly until Easter. And then Sunday, March the 30th, 7 to 8 p.m, South Hall. Wednesday, March the 26th in the South Hall Chapel. And then at 11:30 a.m. to 12 noon. Cadder 200 concert, the Glasgow Philharmonic Choir is on the April the 4th, that is, 7:30 p.m. at Cadder Church. So there you have that. And now we move to Kirkintilloch Church of God at Regent Hall, Regent Street on Wednesday. Coffee Corner is open from 12 noon till 2 p.m. for home baking coffee. Join our friends and neighbours for a coffee and a chat. Next Sunday services is at 4 p.m. on April the 6th. And will be a family praise worship event. This will feature our praise band, video presentations and guest speaker Fergus Riley from Barrhead. Refreshments will be served after the service. All welcome. For an up-to-date and further information, check out their website, regenthall.org. And their Bible quote here says, "Salvation is found in no one else, for there is no other name under heaven given to men by which we must be saved." Acts 4 verse 12. And I'll say amen to that. And now to Home Church in Lammermuir Road, Kirkintilloch. And also they have a home church in the East End in Carlisle. And then they have Home Kitchen Cafe Church in Skelmorley at 10:30 a.m. an online service, a church for all ages. And a quote from Micah 6. "O people, the Lord has told you what is good, and this is what he requires of you, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." And in Kirkintilloch campus, that is, the International Sundays, March the 30th, 9:30 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. Come in your national costume, 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Worship service followed by refreshments. A warm welcome awaits you at either service, which will be identical. There is also a creche and Sunday school. Carmel campus, 10:30 a.m. evening service with communion on the let me get my brain in gear, on the first, second and fourth Sunday of the month at various locations. A 6:30 p.m. Monday ladies prayer meeting. 7 p.m. read through the Bible discussion on Zoom every fortnight at 8 p.m. On Tuesdays, the engine room at 9:30 a.m. Zoom Bible study, 2:30 p.m. till 4. Wednesday, prayer and Bible study groups in the church and online. Thursday prayer meeting is at 7 a.m. in the morning. That is. Football is in the evening at 7:30 p.m. Friday's youth group. And then 7:30 prayer meeting at 7:30 p.m. as well. Home radio is also available every day. That's if you want to tune into home radio, 100.8 FM, or you can download the app and listen to it anywhere you are in the world, because I listened to it when I was in Australia. And if you want to hear my dulcet tones again, tune in on Monday nights between 8 and 9 p.m. for the Monday mission show. You hear my dulcet tones. So there you have it, all the church services there for home church. Now we move back to Lenzie Old Parish Church. Sunday worship is at 11 a.m. A creche is available for children under 3. The quilt and craft group meet every Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon in the session room. Come and sing. Yes, the dementia-friendly singing group meets in the church hall on Tuesday, April the 1st, 1:15 to 2:45 p.m. A warm welcome awaits all, and of course, yes, there you've guessed it, a cuppa. Please feel free to come and sing. Scottish country dancing is on every Thursday from 7:15 to 9:30. Come along for fun, fitness and friendship. You'll be made very welcome. Cool curling on Friday, April the 4th, 7 p.m. to 7:30. Tickets are adult £6 and children £3. I have not got a clue what cool curling is, and it doesn't say. Anyway, move to Bishopbriggs to St James Church, Hilton Road, Bishopbriggs. Canon Paul Foster, or Watson I should say, is the minister there, and there's a communion service in the chapel on Thursday, March the 27th at 11 a.m. and on Sunday, March the 30th, Mothering Sunday at 9 a.m. The 10:30 a.m. communion service with hymns on Sunday is in the church, during which the Mothering Sunday flowers will be distributed among the congregation. Everyone is welcome to come along to any of these services. Do stay on for tea and coffee and fellowship afterwards. In the evening, Sunday, March the 30th at 7 p.m, there is a journey event, Renewing Our Mind. There are also other virtual services and groups for up-to-date and further information. Refer to our church social media, that is on Facebook, St James LS Bishopbriggs, on the website stjamesbishopbriggs.org.uk. And now back to Lenzie and to Lenzie Union Parish Church. The Sunday service is at 11 a.m. and young people are also very welcome at Lighthouse and Bible class. Yes, and a live stream of the service will be available on YouTube. We also have the meeting place, which is open for tea and coffee and home baking every Wednesday, 10 till 12 noon in the new hall. Everyone from the very young at heart, is welcome to attend. We also have a good selection of greeting cards and second-hand books for sale. Then on Friday, we have a similar event called the Coffee Pot. Opens on Fridays from tea, coffee, home baking, and a warm, friendly atmosphere for all ages. And the Guild invites everyone to join them for some splendid entertainment by the New Day Singers at their final meeting of the session on March the 31st at 7:30 in the new hall. Into Kenmure Parish Church in Bishopbriggs, Alison and Bruce Keith make a welcome return to lead us in our Sunday morning worship. That begins at 11 a.m. Visitors to the area will be made welcome, and you can join us for our services. You can attend either service in person or online on their YouTube channel. The service on YouTube can be watched live as it happens. It's streamed, or later at a time that suits you. You can simply find the channel by simply searching Kenmure Bishopbriggs on YouTube. There will be a period of fellowship following the service in the hall, when tea, you guessed it, tea, coffee, juice and biscuits are served. The most up-to-date details of all our groups that are currently running may be found on the WhatsApp section of their website, kenmure-church.co.uk. and find them on Facebook, Kenmure Parish Church. And if you wish to join the WhatsApp group and receive Bible studies, then email us at kenmurechurch@icloud.com. Now to Torrance Parish Church. The morning service in person is at 10:30 a.m, conducted by the minister Stuart Irvin. During the service, the youngsters meet together in creche, junior church and frog. To join the service, click on the online, if you can't be there, torranceparishchurch.online.church. The cafe is open every Wednesday 9 till 12 noon for teas, coffees and delicious home baking. Why not come and taste for yourself? The Boys Brigade meet on Wednesdays 7 p.m. till 9. That's for P7 to S6 age kids. And to find out about a regular weekly service, yeah, you guessed it, check the website for what's on at www.tpc.org.uk. And now to Bishopbriggs again, to Springfield Cambridge Church on Sunday, March the 30th. Morning worship will be conducted by Ian Taylor in the sanctuary at 11 a.m. An offering will be taken during the service. Please place your offering in the offering place as it's passed around. And if you don't have the money with you or not available to donate and to give, then that's fine, just pass it on. Yes, tea and coffee, yeah, you guessed it, will be served in the cabin and hall after morning worship. Come and enjoy the fellowship. The Sunday school meets in room 2, where creche facilities are also available. Morning worship is also being live streamed on the Springfield Cambridge Church YouTube channel. A link to this can be found on the Springfield Cambridge Church website, www.springfieldcambridge.org.uk, and Facebook page, where up-to-date information about events and church organisations can also be found. The next vestry ever will be on Wednesday, March the 26th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. For anyone who would like to speak with the minister, this will be followed by our short midweek service on Wednesday, March the 26th, in the Springfield Cambridge Chapel from 11:10 to 11:30 a.m. and tea, coffee and chat in the Hall of Fellowship afterwards. The Guild is inviting the congregation to join them in supporting the Eastern Berkshire Food Bank warehouse by bringing donations and leaving them in the cupboard in the cloakroom, and there'll be a list attached there. Tickets for the quiz and fish supper night on Friday, April 11th will be available in the Hall of Fellowship, and Sundays, March the 30th and April 6th from members of the fundraising group. So there you have it. That's all the news from Springfield, Cambridge and all the other churches in the Eastern Berkshire area. Thank you for listening. I hope you have a good week. God bless you. This is Philip saying goodbye.
District News General. Date Wednesday the 26th of March. Loyal Ruby needs a new home. Ruby, who's currently residing at Dogs Trust West Calder, is looking for a loving, calm, adult-only home. With her gentle nature and love for quiet surroundings, Ruby would thrive in a household that can provide her with a peaceful environment. She loves to travel and enjoys car rides, making her a perfect companion for those who love new adventures. Ruby is a very sweet girl who can sometimes be unsure around new people. However, once she knows you and builds trust, she is affectionate, loving and enjoys a good snuggle. Ruby likes to meet polite dogs on her walks but would prefer to be the only pet in the home. Visit www.dogstrust.org.uk. Westminster View. Scottish schools need more support, by Susan Murray MP. I have enjoyed visiting some of Eastern Bartonshire's excellent schools over the past few weeks and to speak with hard-working pupils and dedicated teachers about how I can support them as Mid Bartonshire's MP. You only need to glance at the rankings to see the valuable contribution our local schools make to our community, preparing our young people for successful futures. They do this not only in the classroom, but through pupil parliaments, rights respecting schools programmes, and youth work opportunities. Schools in Eastern Bartonshire have such a well-deserved reputation that they attract families from across Scotland to come and be part of our community. This is, correctly, a badge of pride for our area. However, our schools are not without their challenges. Consistent underfunding and a lack of forward planning by the Scottish Government has left many of them unsure of their future, with school staff taking some of the biggest hits. Worrying numbers of teachers are choosing to leave the profession due to high workload and long hours, with this stress exacerbated by a lack of support from management and increase of violence in schools. Between 2023 and 2024, 598 teachers left the profession. To make matters worse, poor workforce planning by the Scottish Government has meant that those teachers who chose to stay on are often unable to find a permanent job, despite being promised a stable and glittering career. The Scottish Government must do better. They should end short-term contracts for teachers and offer them and their families security, stability and permanence. The Scottish Qualifying Authorities (SQA) reforms must also be completed urgently, implementing a modern assessment model that is based less on final exams and more on coursework and extracurricular activities, in line with learners' and teachers' demands. Scotland should also be recognised as an individual country by PISA's educational scoring, offering us a more robust means of scrutinising the Scottish Government's performance. That we were removed from PISA after 2015, missing the 2018 and 2021 assessments, was, and remains, a scandal. Schools across East Bartonshire are working hard to make sure that their pupils thrive despite these pressures, but they deserve better from government. By Susan Murray MP. Society of Antiquaries. The Antiquaries held a public lecture in the Park Centre on March 19th as part of Local History Month 2025. Dominic D'Angelo, chair of the Alexander Thomson Society, gave a talk on Developing Lenzie by Design, Alexander Thomson, Robert Turnbull and their lasting impact. The event was very well attended, over 50 people present, and Dominic's talk was very well received. He described how the development of Lenzie was driven by the construction of the Glasgow to Edinburgh Railway, which opened in 1842. Development was encouraged by offering free tickets to people building houses in Lenzie. Alexander Greek Thomson, 1817 to 1875, developed his reputation as an architect with a number of buildings in a classical style in the centre of Glasgow, including St Vincent Church, Great Western Terrace and large villas such as Homewood House, now a National Trust for Scotland property. He did not start building villas in Lenzie until 1871, with his assistant Robert Turnbull as an inspector on the ground. These villas include buildings on Glenhead Road, Heriot Road, Crosshill Road, Victoria Road and Lindsay-Beg Road. These villas were not on the same scale as Homewood, as the clients were not as wealthy, but show a number of typical Thomson touches. Turnbull became Thomson's partner and took over the practice after Thomson's death. He moved to Lenzie and was active in civic affairs. He died in 1905 at the age of 66 and is buried in the Old Isle Cemetery. Dominic's presentation was well illustrated, with many photos of buildings associated with Thomson and Turnbull, and was very well received by the audience. Dominic paid tribute to Antiquaries member Don Martin MBE for his work on the development of Lenzie. The talk was followed by a lively question and answer session. Bits and Pieces exhibition. Pop along to Kirkintilloch Town Hall's Heritage Centre for another opportunity to view the Bits and Pieces exhibition created for the Made in Kirkintilloch project. The exhibition offers a fascinating insight into the local area's changing social and industrial landscape and the people associated with them. And that was this week's District News General, March 26, 2025.
Public Notices. East Bartonshire Council Public Notices. Civic Government (Scotland Act 1982). Application for renewal of second-hand dealer licence. The undernoted has applied for the renewal of a second-hand dealer licence in terms of the above Act. Name and address of applicant: Daz Tech Limited, 104A Coutgate, Kirkintilloch, G66 1JU. Day-to-day manager Fiona Calcan. Premises: Phone Plus, 104A Cowgate, Kirkintilloch, G66 1JU. Goods. All phone devices, iPads, tablets, laptops, PCs, game consoles, and all electronic devices. Any objections or representations in terms of paragraph 3 brackets 1 of Schedule 1 of the Act should be logged with the undernoted no later than 28 days from the publication date of the newspaper in which this advertisement appears. Chief Solicitor and Monitoring Officer, Legal and Regulatory Services, East Dunbartonshire Council, 12 Strathkelvin Place, Kirkintilloch, G66 1TJ. Email civic.licensing@eastdunbarton.gov.uk.
Kirkintilloch Herald. Sport. Acrobat Amelia picked for GB. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. A young Lennoxtown acrobat will represent Great Britain at the European Age Group competition in Luxembourg next month. Amelia Davidson, 12, has been picked alongside Beth Gilroy and Lily Schoenville, all three being members of Dynamic Gymnastics Academy in Motherwell. The 13th edition of the competition takes place from April 15th to the 20th and will see the trio compete in the Youth 12 to 18 category. The current Scottish champions went on to enjoy success in their first international competition, winning gold at the Grand Prix in Poland last November. The trip to Luxembourg will be a much tougher test, with a total of 35 teams involved, and the trio have been working to perfect their routine for months, spending more than 20 hours per week in the gym. Davidson's mum, Michelle, said, "This selection is a dream come true for the girls and a testament to the hard work they've put in over the last 18 months. Having won gold in Poland last year in their first international competition, they head to Luxembourg in confident mood. However, this will likely be a real step up in quality. There may be a couple of the same teams they came up against in November, but the majority of the 35 teams are largely an unknown quantity. However, anything can happen on the day, and the girls want to prove they are up there with the best Europe has to offer." Davidson, Gilroy and Schoenville are one of two Scottish teams competing in the category, with Katie Hendry, Hannah Johnston and Roxy Kemp from Acrobay in Fife also making the trip. There is also plenty of Scottish interest as the 2025 European Junior and Senior Championships take place at the same time in Luxembourg. Gemma Russell, Emma Logan and Carla Hillcoat from Dynamic will be in the senior women, while Scarlett Haldane, Emma Nelson and Ella Gracie from Acrobay are in the junior 13 to 19 years category. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. New head of commercial to plot the future direction. Uncredited. Glasgow City has announced the arrival of Steph McLaughlin as the club's new head of commercial. McLaughlin previously served as the commercial manager at Lewes in East Sussex, where she was instrumental in raising the profile of the club. Her work helped to position Lewes as a leader in promoting equal pay and advocating for the future of women's football, driving financial growth through forward-thinking, value-driven partnerships. McLaughlin said, "I followed the Glasgow City story for some time, and I've always been in awe of and deeply inspired by everything Laura Montgomery and Carol Ann Stewart have created. Their vision for the club and their ability to carve out a unique path in the women's game resonates deeply with my own passion for growing and commercialising women's football. I am passionate about bringing more investment into women's football and attracting women-centric brands to the sport. This will help bridge the gap and make the playing field more equal. I strongly believe that Glasgow City's ambition and its commitment to bringing more women into the sport is exactly the direction we need for the future." City returned to action on Friday. They travelled to Celtic, with the match being shown live on BBC Alba from 7:25 p.m. Meanwhile, after playing the top two in recent weeks, Rossvale women are away to third place Boroughmuir Thistle in the SWPL2 on Sunday. Read by Alan Todd. Pitching in to improve facilities. Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. The SFA has been awarded £8.6 million of funding from the Department of Culture, Media and Sport to enhance football and sport facilities across the country. The latest tranche of DCMS investment will enable the governing body to support new and improved pitches, changing rooms and infrastructure in local communities. The pledge from the government's plan for change will be added to the SFA's first donation of £5 million to its Pitching In campaign, which aims to invest £50 million into facilities improvements by 2028, when Scotland co-hosts the Euros. The funding will also be targeted at deprived areas and support greater access and participation levels among underrepresented people, including women and girls, ethnic minority groups, and para players. SFA President Mike Mulroney said, "When I became President, I made no secret of the fact that improving facilities at all levels should be the Association's #1 priority. We are grateful to the Department of Culture, Media and Sport and partners for this latest commitment, which will enable us to further improve the infrastructure of our national sport. This will increase participation, improve health and well-being, and allow more people to experience the power of football." It follows the SFA's commitment to ensuring profits are diverted to facilities and infrastructure via our Pitching In campaign. I look forward to further strengthening our partnership with the UK and Scottish governments, as well as philanthropic business communities, to rejuvenate Scottish football's facilities footprint. Culture Secretary Lisa Nandy said, "Grassroots sports clubs are at the beating heart of communities across the UK, but too many are stuck with unwelcoming, tired and outdated facilities that aren't up to standard. It is our mission to remove barriers to an active lifestyle, ensuring that wherever people may live, they can access high-quality sports facilities and experience the joy that sport brings. Clubs and organisations can apply for funding by emailing pitching-in@scottishfa.co.uk, with the first tranche of beneficiaries expected to be confirmed in the summer." Written by Brian Yule, read by Alan Todd. Tigers look to start the season with silverware. Written by Phil Lanning, read by Alan Todd. Chris Harris, Kyle Howarth and Dan Thompson will fly the flag for Glasgow Tigers at the Championship Big Weekend next month. The new venture will see the Championship Pairs and Championship League Riders Championship taking place over a bumper 2 days. The Pairs takes place at Workington on Saturday, April 5th, while the Riders title will be contested at Scunthorpe the next day, both starting at 3 p.m. Harris and Howarth will be a formidable pair for the Tigers at the GT Tyres Arena, before being joined by Dan Thompson at the Eddie Wright Raceway. Tigers get the new season underway with a trip to Edinburgh Monarchs on Friday, April 4th, for the return of the Scottish Cup, with the second leg at Ashfield a week later. Team boss Cammy Brown said, "There's no doubt it's going to be an exciting start to the season for the Tigers. We've got a very good record in recent seasons in the Pairs, with 2 wins in 2019 and 2023, and there's no reason Chris and Kyle can't make it a hat-trick. I'm also confident that Chris, Kyle and Dan have got the ability to deliver a result at Scunthorpe. It would be fabulous to get a trophy on the board prior to our first home fixture in the Scottish Cup second leg. There's nothing quite like starting the season with 2 meetings against the Monarchs. They are the fixtures the fans look forward to the most. Our recent record against the Monarchs has been decent, but we've not won the Scottish Cup for a while, so that's on our tick list." Brown admits to being impressed with how his new look squad is shaping up, with the new season now just over a week away. He said, "This is always a special time of the year. We just can't wait to get the action started and see what this team can deliver. It's fair to say that everyone is buzzing to get going. We have a great group of lads this season and you can feel the enthusiasm. Everyone is itching to get back on track. The recent training camp was excellent and I could see a lot of really hungry lads who want to succeed. That's what this club wants. We have got a bunch of guys who'll give 100% in every race, and it's going to be exciting." Written by Phil Lanning, read by Alan Todd. Rob Roy Boss takes a hard-fought point and moves on. Written by Brian Newell, read by Alan Todd. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy boss John Gibson accepted a hard-fought point in a 1-1 draw at home to Irvine Meadow on Saturday. It keeps Rob Roy just a point ahead of Meadow in the race to avoid relegation from the West of Scotland First Division, with Maple Juniors sitting between them. The hosts opened the scoring after 12 minutes when Jamie Bowman fired a stunning right foot strike into the far corner. However, Cian Gunn equalised for Meadow on 38 minutes after a well-worked passing move. Rob Roy dominated the second period but proved unable to fashion a winner. The best chances fell to Luke Barclay and Dylan Watt, however neither were able to convert and it remained honours even. Gibson told the club's media team, "A point probably isn't great for either of the two teams moving forward. In the second half I thought we were the better side and had a couple of good chances, just never got that goal. We're a bit disappointed. They'll think the same as well, but in the end it was probably a fair result. It's a hard fought point, we'll take it and move on, because that is just how it has to be." Rob Roy are on the road this Saturday for a trip to Thorneywood United. Gibson added, "That's now 4 games we're undefeated, 2 wins and 2 draws, so we need to go there and be positive. We've 9 games left and we need to start picking up points. We're back in the pack now, so we need to try win more games to move us further up the table." Results. First Division. Blantyre Victoria 2, Petershill 2. Kirkintilloch Rob Roy 1, Irvine Meadow 11, 1. Ashfield 0. Second Division. Caledonian Locomotive 6. Third Division. Girvan 2, Glasgow Perthshire 1. Irvine Victoria 4, Finnart 1. Fourth Division. West Park United 1, Rossvale 2. Saturday fixtures. First Division. Petershill vs Cumbernauld United. Thorneywood United vs Kirkintilloch Rob Roy. Ashfield vs Renfrew. Second Division. Maryhill vs Caledonian Locomotives. Third Division. Finnart vs Girvan. Glasgow Perthshire vs Threave Rovers. Fourth Division. BSC Glasgow vs West Park United. Rossvale vs Giffnock. Written by Brian Newell, read by Alan Todd.
That concludes this week's edition of the Kirkintilloch Herald podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Tune Review and to tell your friends about our service.